Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome from wherever you are joining us to this very special webinar, this digital transformation webinar, where we're going to be talking all things Linux One. The title of the show, The Ultimate Enterprise Linux Platform for Regulated Industries. And we have two behemoths of organizations, both of which have got the most efficient of names. We have DXC and IBM. So please, in order to let's move on with the conversation, I'd like to invite onto the stage, please, Florian, Richard, Wilhelm, and Mark. Florian, welcome.
Hey, hello Tom. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Richard, welcome.
Thank you for the invitation. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. Wilhelm, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Very good. And Mark, how are you?
Smashing. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we have a likely collection of people here for you today. So, and also incredibly good looking, talented, and intelligent. So we're covering all the bases today. So with that, let's get into it. We've got regulatory pressures that are constantly, depending on where you live and in which part of the world you live, are constantly evolving and changing and challenging us. Sustainability is obviously a major issue for us now, and of course, the special cursed word AI is rearing its ugly head everywhere we look. Put all this together, we've got escalating cloud costs, we've got issues with data sovereignty, etc. There is, of course, we wouldn't be here otherwise. There is, of course, a platform that we believe is the solution to this, is the approach to this, which is Linux One. So the first thing I want to ask and ask the group here is why Linux One now, and what are the biggest challenges that enterprises are facing today when they're running their mission critical workloads, and how does Linux One help us address those?
Sure,
So
Tom.
let me,
Let me start on this
Go
one.
on, Florian.
This is a great question. So to set the scene also a little bit, we're talking about a lot of clients that driving modernization challenges, right? So and when we're looking in particular at those clients that have existing mainframes in place, then we're talking about co-location of Linux workloads and ZOS workloads. And that's basically driven by product innovation, by competitiveness, and to get all these capabilities close to where your traditional applications reside, right? There's, on the other hand, those applications that are built by ISV vendors off the shelf, yeah. And you're searching like stacks that you can deploy them pretty fast, resilient in the way you basically used to do it, yeah. And on the third side, there's all about efficiencies, as you pointed out. So and the challenges, is that these ambitions, they collide. Yeah, you have got the different modernization strategies. You got these new applications, and you want to have efficiencies. And then you got the clouds, the public clouds, the private clouds, AI clouds. Yeah, you're ramping up your own AI using AI platforms from new vendors. Yeah, you got SaaS vendors. There's lots of fragmentation, and that's the tough task for our clients to keep pace with that and integrate. Yeah, it's not about migrating; it's about integrating those pieces together.
Okay,
so
Richard.
yeah, so from my point of view, you have to look at where we are in the time and the stresses that are put on businesses today. Okay, so everything's changed in the last 18 months. We've just come out of a period where there's been a lot of experimentation. People have been doing things with clouds, they've been building environments, they've been changing things up, trying new business models. And then the last 18 months, a lot of the regulatory environments changed, a lot of the political environments changed. There's some new technologies out there, and everybody, or most businesses today, are busy preparing for the next disruption, which is AI. And so there's a moment now where I think that the priority for a lot of our CIOs is to get their hands back around their environments, make sure that they are controlled, consistent, that they know what's happening before the next tsunami of changes arrives. And that's where we are today, is bringing that together and making sure that everything's under control.
Right, because change is the one thing we can rely on, right? It's the one constant that, and the challenge that has done is that it's added this complexity into our cloud environments, and especially distributed cloud environments, hybrid cloud environments, blah blah, every other buzzword type of environment you can think of, and so this complexity is actually challenging us, and we've got this currently almost a fragmented foundation on which we're trying to build our platforms for the future, which of course isn't going to work.
Yeah, and
The other part of that is as it's fragmented, the workers that we need to support those different environments are fragmented as well. Okay, so any opportunity that we have to be able to use the same workers on and provide different technologies without having to then duplicate teams and duplicate resources is an advantage. Don't you agree, Florian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to add what Rich just said over the last 18 months, right? When you look at it from a global perspective, then if you want to be competitive, yeah, and that goes across the industries, you got new challenges. Yeah, if you take a traditional bank, the world today looks completely different than 5 years ago. Yeah, and from a service innovation perspective, I think we can all agree here, the technology, we all agree it's there. Yeah, I think we don't ask for some specific, piece that needs to be invented. Yeah, but the hard part is, how do I transform that technology, yeah, into something that I can sell to my customers? How to keep them, be with me instead of going to somewhere else, right? And here the pressure kicks into the existing systems. Yeah, the first piece that clients look at is, oh, my legacy might be not keeping pace with this. But that's exactly the point where we believe it's not a radical shift going from A to B. Like, it's an integration pattern, and that's exactly where companies like DXC, together with our technology, are like in the perfect situation right now to help clients.
So
And
if I can add one point here, I think we're talking about two pillars. It's the application landscape and the infrastructure landscape. And basically what we're seeing right now with the infrastructure landscape and the AI paradigm, it is the change that is happening in environments, in the industry. Now the question is, do I have to add more and more capacity for AI? Do I have to add special something for AI? What happens with my applications? And therefore, simplifying the infrastructure by giving the applications the advantage of running transparent is basically where IBM Linux One has a value, and where this transformation now can bring additional chances, additional opportunities, additional ways to go.
I think to what William was saying is that with the sprawl in the public cloud, we have lots of different application architectures that are compatible. You have to have different teams to manage them. As we look at simplification, bringing them into a Linux One type of ecosystem allows us to simplify, increase the technical fungibility of resources, both from an operations and an application, so that I don't have to have as many deep specialists, but I can have people who focus on my business, and the ability for them to look at the entire user experience from high-end back source of truth in the classic, say, mainframe, all the way to the user experience in the mobile. We can change our development and our operational to focus on the user experience and bring that together in a collaborative way with reducing the number of different types of technologies to simplify the operational and functionality of the organization, especially in the regulatory world.
So I wanted to pull on that thread a little more and just look at some of the fundamentals here. So, really, what makes Linux One fundamentally different from just running Linux on x86? What misconceptions are we still seeing in the market around Linux One and the difference it makes?
So that when we're looking at, and Linux One, to be very very precise, it's a platform. We're not talking an operating system or something. IBM Linux One is a hardware platform that is specialized for large scalable, and we can say the largest scalable server for Linux workloads. What makes it different, what makes it very special is basically it can scale vertically. If I have an application, think of I have an application My application now becomes bigger. More users are using it, right? I do not need to redeploy. I do not need to buy a new server. I just need to enable capacity on that same machine. I do not need to touch that application. It stays where it is in the same network, in the same security. And therefore, that's one of the very high or the biggest advantages that we see. And by changing from the different environments to bring together and run where it fits best in terms of I have applications, they have to have the highest security. I have applications which have a high dynamic over the weekend, over Black Friday, whatever we call it, right? That can be achieved with one platform, and that can be enabled by capacity on off on demand, and that's basically a big advantage. And the misconception typically is x86 can fix or can fit to all these environments. Well, we have to say, let's talk about hybrid environments, and we will see in future it is more than what we see today, and Linux One is one part of this. So therefore, that's one of the areas.
Yeah,
I think to add to what William was saying is the Linux One platform, think of it as cloud in a box. I have a production ecosystem that all of a sudden I have a spike, market trends, whatever. It's the Friday before a holiday, my bank needs more capacity. The Linux One ecosystem is designed where it can steal or borrow capacity from dev and test so that production is never starved. As a business decision, I can now address how do I meet the needs of my customers that are changing where I can't predict it without having to go worry about inconsistent dynamic scaling. Linux One as a platform is based on tried and true scaling abilities by being able to borrow from other non-critical environments on the same ecosystem or the same infrastructure.
and
That
Mark,
you
Which,
don't get
which
on
have
any
already
other
been
platform.
budgeted for,
I mean,
which have already been budgeted for. So you're not even increasing cost. You're just you're reallocating your own internal resources.
absolutely, yes.
And basically, well, Linux One is made for share everything, but at the same time has a certification for server isolation. So my development has nothing to do with my production, but at the same time, I can share capacity. So that's a paradigm a little bit, but that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it, right? You can share, but at the same time have the highest isolation.
Yeah.
And Mark,
Florian, you were going to say something.
Mark, you said cloud in a box, yeah, and that's to be honest, that's very often those are the internal client project names for what we see, what clients actually doing. If we have listeners here that have been exploring this platform like 10 years ago when we started with it actually was around 2015. Yeah, Linux on the platform, we're doing it since the 2000s. Yeah, but in 2015, Linux One basically came to market. When you look compared to 2015 and to today, with all the acquisitions IBM made, Red Hat, HashiCorp, yeah, DataStax, webMethods, and now Confluent in future, you've seen a tremendous different, tool set integration. And what we try to build up on is the public cloud has driven a very sexy ecosystem that is very user friendly, is very consistent in how you can build up your pipelines. We have brought that now to Linux One as well. Yeah, and that goes back to what Mark said. It's that cloud in a box that check marks a lot of those features you are used to, where in the past you would have said, oh, I don't get that if I do it myself. And I think we're now in a time where this is absolutely changing, and we can showcase this, and clients really adopting this on premises. Yeah.
And I think to Florin, what you're saying is that what we're seeing with the modern IDE, the modern development tools, AI assisted development in Linux One, or what I'll call the hybrid mainframe, where I have ZOS and Linux running on the same machine, we're bringing those tools and that fungibility all the way back to the classic ZOS. So we have ZOS, ZLinux all working together as a collaborative. So the fact that I have them both running on the same box, I have the ability to now have hybrid workloads where I'm doing the OLTP on the ZOS, but I'm doing all my end-of-day batch jobs on the ZLinux where it's cheaper and I'm not increasing latency or security because I'm using the backplane. the idea of having two different distinct operating systems on the same physical box and being able to collaboratively compute is a game changer in the classic mainframe type of environment where you have the best of both worlds in a single environment and single box, single operational environment.
And Mark, I want to give an example to this. Yeah. When you look at the industry about payments modernization right now, you see a tremendous effort by the industry of crypto payment rails converging with traditional payment rails. And one of the paradigms that we've seen with clients is that there's a big integration effort going on to get both pieces in the same security zone, to have the same compliance, the same tooling, same business automation workflows. And what we're doing here from a Linux One perspective, exactly what you just outlined from a business value perspective, you can put both operating systems, both applications on the same server. What Wilhelm said, it's basically the isolation technology that is supporting this. So you have that technical assurance to do that. That is exactly one of these, I would say, hidden pieces that typically clients identify the deeper they get into this. But it's not an easy one in the beginning. But we have typically seen this a big, value driver for lots of modernization projects and innovation projects.
Right, but Florian, to your point, when we start looking at regulatory and payments in particular, what we've been seeing is the ability to add fraud detection for 100% of all payment transactions in flight.
Yeah.
So in your payments environment, we're now doing fraud detection on the $1, £1, €1 transactions, where before you would wait till they hit a threshold. We're finding fraud faster and quicker because we're able to do it on 100% of the transactions with no increase in use of CPU and in sub-second, and the data never leaves the four walls of the compute. That is available today. We're seeing that it's been implemented into banking and payment systems, and we believe that it'll continue to evolve instead of people putting fraud detection in different places in the cloud and praying that it's always up.
Yeah. And what's key there is...
Oh, sorry, Richard, go on. Go on.
Yeah. So what key there is what we've been able to do and Linux is the opportunity here. We have majority of applications are now running on Linux. We've been able to consolidate them. As we've consolidated in one place, that's given us access to all of the data that we require to be able to do that fraud detection. So as things were spread out across different environments, different clouds, different locations, we were unable to actually do that fraud detection in real time. But the consolidation and the ability to bring that to one location has allowed us to implement AI, enabled us to actually run the tools without duplicating data everywhere. And now what we're able to do is something that is significant improvement for the customer and for the business. Sorry, Florian, I talked over you.
No, it's tough for us here to swing, right? It's good discussion. No, I want to tell and ask Wilhelm then to add points to that. We have done I would say 500 clients over the last 2 to 3 years. We have been working with in very much on their AI use cases, in production. And as you just outlined, those transactional AI use cases that you're speaking of, those AI where you need AI very close to the data in real time, that's exactly a problem which you do not want to solve by deduplicating your data to another platform. You don't want and then depending on where you are in this process, you might say, oh, AI is more important than my legacy. I move my legacy now to some other place. No, I think you can now start being able to do AI very close to where you have your data. And I think you have been working on this for the last 3 years in detail with the Spire and the Telum chip, right?
So when we're talking about fraud detection and when we're talking about AI and AI acceleration, we are at the point right now that we can have 450 billion, not million, billion inference operations per day for fraud detection. And we can have a response time below 1 millisecond. So think of if you have that result in time, and the number of 450 billion, that's a lot. And number one, number two, our credit card companies, they are running 20 million credit card transactions per second around the clock. So this is not possible with another platform, right? And they can now do with a new technology, they can now do for every single transaction, they can do fraud detection without impacting the response time, below a millisecond response time. So that's basically an advantage. That's basically a huge, workload that takes advantage of these machines. Number one. Number two is what we've done also is to say, if you run a web server now close to these fraud detection transactions, and we could run 3 million web servers at the same time on a single machine. 3 million on a single machine serving that. So therefore, it is you don't have to, right? You can start with 1, with 10, but you can scale, as I mentioned, vertically without having a new platform as well.
Those numbers are insane.
They are.
Yeah.
You talk about AI, we talk about AI inference. One of the other things that we've also found is with the simplification of Linux One System Z as a framework, we've been able to implement agentic AI we're doing it for airlines and others, but the fact that it's centralized, we have human in the loop, but we needed that all in one location because we're dealing with 100,000 unique different data points to keep airplanes in the sky. And we use agentic AI to identify, assess, and generate recommendations, root cause analysis in real time so that planes and people's travel around the world are not impacted. That ability and that AI in a consolidated, localized environment is much easier for us to implement instead of it sprawled across multiple different types of applications across the cloud. We're using the AI, the real-time feeds to bring seamless operations to our customers.
And that's basically one of the workloads that we see right now, Mark, when customers have lots of queries. And I mean, just one example, if you're trying to book a hotel room, what do you think how many requests are going for nonsense in terms of query requests before you get a booking? And I give you a number, there are 10,000 requests for querying before you get a booking. And the companies which are doing that, without a booking, you don't earn any money, right? So that's why they do kind of caching database. And what you mentioned before is basically having like a MongoDB caching database next to their transactional databases. So having that together, again, with open source, and that's very important. Open source comes more and more into the play here with transactional workloads and basically gives the value of that. And with Linux One and Z are called the IO monster. We can run 15 million IO operations per second. So basically, it's a high throughput that can be done, and that's not possible with another platform. We're just one, right?
Right.
That's
you bring up a good example when you look at Mongo open source. We're seeing in the banking industry where statements used to be in DB2, they were getting bloated and things like that. Moving to an open source, a lower cost, so that statement retrieval is, and there's some big banks that are doing this, some of the largest banks in the world, where they've moved all their statements and their retention into a MongoDB and extracted that out of their DB2 so that the DB2 can be focused on OLTP, the Mongo, which does statements and the ability to bring back larger data. Let's use fit for purpose. It's open source. It's running on systems at the Linux One environment, and the customer is getting the value by using the right tool on the right platform, getting the 15, million IOs per second where they need it because these are customers that are very demanding.
So these are great examples of, where customers have got, fantastic ROI, where they've been able to leverage these capabilities to their best. Before we move on to the IBM and DXC partnership, I want to touch on when it all goes wrong. So what I'm talking here obviously is, the security of the platform, the resilience, and resilience in my day used to be called BCP and disaster recovery, but we all like to rebrand things. The resilience of it, and the even the cost efficiency of it, which is a major consideration these days. How is the platform? How is the Linux One platform actually addressing some of these fundamental challenges? Resilience. We see outages all the time. I think there was one recently, and the first some people knew about it was that their smart beds had moved them into an upright position in the middle of the night. So resilience is an important element of this. It's funny when it's a bed, but when it's your mortgage transaction or when it's something more fundamental, that's extremely distressing. So, how does Linux One address this?
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
So resiliency is one of the fundamental design points of
I would have
Z
thought so.
Linux One,
Yeah.
right? And basically, since decades, customers are using this platform over continents. Now, with a new evolution towards cloud, the point is more and more regulations are coming back and asking for you need to have a fallback solution if you're using cloud.
Yeah.
And we have customers doing that already because the capability to run an application multi-architecture. And multi-architecture means I'm running the same application in cloud, in public cloud, and on-premise. And if the public cloud is out of service, whatever, I can run it in my data center. Now, why should I run it in a public cloud? Eventually, I have read-only documents. I have something that I want. It's not that critical that I want to run in a public cloud. I can run it there. But if that's not functioning, I do not want to have to lose those customers, right? So I bring back those functions. So I shift those functions. Now, with disaster recovery, I can have the toolings that are working very consistent since many, many years with our clients to have a full control and automation for disaster recovery. And therefore, it's a highly focused area, security, resiliency, disaster recovery, with automation.
I think when we look at Linux One and how it supports disaster recovery in multiple data centers, is the fact that in my recovery data center, I need to pay for one engine for data replication. I'm not paying the extra software to have it sit there and idle in the Linux world. So the ability to cost effectively have a compute that I'm not using, but it's there just in case, is a much lower cost and a lower footprint than I would do in a x86 distributed, because I have to have those machines available. I have to have the software license. Those are not required in the Linux One ecosystem. I need the one engine to be able to support data replication. Other than that, if I have 200 engines in my box, I still only need one active in my DR. So that's where we get cost-effective DR, disaster recovery, resiliency, for a catastrophic data center outage. You do not get that in the cloud because you have to have allocated and preloaded all of that in a different region. So it is a very economical, very energy efficient way of having two environments available at an affordable price for our customers.
And Tom, when we look at the different layers, from I think resilience, security, as Wilhelm outlined, from a hardware layer, I think we're having a world-class platform here, from redundant memory pieces to cores, so it's pretty much unbeatable. You never get it down, If you get into the next layer of software, then it's pretty diverse in the market on patterns that you implement, But we're offering here the combination with best tooling in the standard, truly open source, So I think it's a unique chance actually to have that private cloud setup clients need from Linux One, x86. And then have that discussion on a very much service level driven decision. Okay, this piece of database I'm going to put here. My Oracle database, it's going to go on Linux One because it's way more efficient and secure over here. my testing database for my new product that is analytics heavy, it's going to go on x86 because I want that NVIDIA GPU and test that, So I think it's that combination that we can address now on having that far more superior, or holistic overview of multiple technologies. And I think that's one of the beauties that we see, that where public clouds cannot, compete with, and where clients have to, kind of get now into the discussion of how does my future cloud looks in my shop, right?
And from a software perspective, I just want to add, from a software perspective, Red Hat OpenShift gives you the capability to run in public cloud, on-premise x86, on-premise Linux One, with a single pane of glass management, with the same application, if you want, running at the same time on all of these, or specifically, if you want to run highly secure just on Z or on Linux One and others on another platform, but it is manageable from one single pane of glass, and basically the resiliency is given because of the architecture underneath.
And so the summary of...
Oh, go on, Richard.
So the summary of all of this at the end of the day is, for our customers, what they're expecting is an API or an application that is used by their business or by their end customers. Okay, and all of these questions about resiliency and cost and what do we do about the enemy of all of that is variation. Right. So as we put out in hundreds of different variations of everything, what that does is it multiplies costs, it multiplies the needs for resources, it multiplies standards. And at the end of the day, you started this section talking about, big issues with security. The big issues with security that we've seen, those big outages have been where one machine has been sitting in a corner that was managed in a different way on a different environment, and somebody found it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what Wilhelm and Mark are talking about is the ability to very, very quickly consolidate, standardize, remove that variation. It improves security. It improves cost. It also improves your ability to scale because of the technology it's running on, and it allows you to run things in real time. So let's get there, get that quickly, and then as a business, our CEOs can then prepare for the next disruption that's coming.
And to be very clear here, and because I think we missed emphasizing this before, this isn't just for our massive, large-scale customers. This works for smaller customers as well. This is not just an exclusive club, is it? This is for everybody.
No, if you're a small customer, why would you build multiple environments when you can do it in one? Okay, wouldn't you be searching for the efficiency and the energy efficiency of reusing what you have? Okay, and a lot of our small customers, DXC has experience from some of the largest organizations in the world to some of the most specialized. The most specialized, when they come to us, is because they have very specific requirements, but multiplying everything out over multiple environments doesn't help. It doesn't help in terms of cost, energy, maintenance, or security. So let's bring it back into one, and then we can concentrate on what makes a real difference for their business.
Yeah, excellent. So I want to spend the last 5 to 7 minutes talking now about the DXC IBM partnership and actually the magic that brings together. So where is the what is that magic? We've got DXC, technologists, etc., consultancy, massive global organization. We've got IBM, who almost need no introduction, right? When it comes to the technology platform itself. What's the synergy that comes out between the two companies?
I think one of the key synergies between the two is we have hundreds of customers. We talk to IBM's products group, whether it's the Watson, it's the ZOS, it's the Linux One, and we bring the experience and needs of multiple customers to their product group so that they're able to understand the collective of what we're trying to solve and help our customers. So we become an advocate to our customers, to IBM, on, hey, from a hardware perspective, we need to be able to do this. The software that we want to put, it's not all from IBM, but being able to look at how do we segregate and be able to financially and technically solve problems for our customers. We are working hand in hand. We're part of their advisory groups around operations, tooling, synergization between cloud development and Linux One and ZOS. Our role is an advocate for our customers in the IBM world. We also bring innovation to IBM and show them new ways to exploit their infrastructure.
Yeah, and if I can complement that, we rely on partners like DXC. Yeah, if you look at the Linux ecosystem out there, yeah, there's for sure resellers that we have. Yeah, there's software vendors like MongoDB, like Enterprise DB, yeah, like Confluent, like others. But then there is a strong focus on implementation and do the actual operations and advising clients, yeah, in that complex ecosystem. And DXC goes far beyond IBM, yeah. And I think that open source ecosystem where Linux is kind of the magic component that helps you to innovate, yeah, without that proprietary login that you had in the past. I think you have to have someone as a partner for these clients to make that step. Otherwise, you're not really unlocking the full potential of that Linux ecosystem.
And DXC has been working with IBM for over 75 years, yeah? We've got a long, trusted relationship together. Of the 3 companies that created DXC, 2 of them, their first ever contracts were on IBM systems and software. So culturally, we're very similar. I don't think anybody understands IBM and the way they work and what they can do with their systems and software as we do. Sorry, Wilhelm.
No, I just wanted to mention, we are a technology-driven company, so we're driving technology, and we're not just dependent. We're very happy to have partners like DXC to work with clients, and I'm working with clients worldwide and with partners worldwide, and therefore I see the success that we have if we work together, if we team together to get the feedback from you and from clients to provide what we need and provide the skill that you need, and therefore have that partnership as a common solution partnering, I can say environment or however you call it, team, right, to these clients. And therefore it's a win-win. It's driving forward for the client, their solution, and for us, the technology.
And it's this dynamic sort of synergy between that actually helps clients who, let's face it, there's so many modernization journeys that we hear about. I've heard of one that we started it 5 years ago, and we think today we've got 5 years left of this 5-year program that we started 5 years ago. And we hear this all the time, right?
Yes.
But this combination of DXC and IBM can help break that cycle, can actually help, make those deadlines work.
At scale. And that's the important thing is where DXC and IBM work well together is at scale. On some of the largest implementations in the world with the highest volumes that Wilhelm was talking about earlier,
yeah,
those are where we've excelled. 60% of airline tickets in the world go through IBM systems managed by DXC. We know how to make it work worldwide, every day, every minute, so that customers can actually concentrate on what they want to do, which is make money running their business.
Yeah, brilliant. Gentlemen, we're drawing to a close, so we're just going to get to the wrap-up stage. So I'm going to give each of you, I don't know, 25 seconds, a random number I just plucked out of the air, to actually talk to our audience. And you can either do one of 2 things. Either tell them the one thing they should do when they get to their desks in the morning when it comes to Linux One, IBM, DXC, etc. Or 2, what are the top things that they should consider when evaluating Linux One? Or what's the one thing they should consider when evaluating Linux One specifically? So let's go. Hopefully that's as clear as mud. But Florian, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I think one thing that I would love to say is the fragmentation penalty can be solved. It's not just server hardware. Yeah, it's a full Linux computing platform. And I think over the last years, we have established a unified stack that absolutely integrates what client expects.
Excellent. Thank you. And well within time as well. It's very good. Richard.
Impossible to beat Florian, but the one thing people should be doing is when they get to their desk tomorrow morning is go and find the orphans. Go and find those machines that are forgotten about, that have not had love and care. Bring them into the fold. Let's get them modernized. Let's make sure that they're secure and that we're running them effectively, because that's the weakness that somebody else will exploit.
And let's face it, it's so easy as well, right?
You've heard from everyone on the call today how quickly you can get those guys loved and sorted. So let's go and take care of our orphans.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was an excellent one. Wilhelm.
So I would say, if they go back tomorrow after this webinar, I would say, think of where you want to be in a year, Mr. Customer, what you want to do, and what your applications and infrastructure should look like. What is your goal in the next years? And if you have that, that's fine. If you don't, do a workshop with DXC and eventually IBM if it's needed. Come back to DXC and let's work together with IBM and DXC to see how we can reach that goal on a step-by-step basis.
Brilliant. I love that long-termist view. And finally, Mark.
To me, go back to your desk and evaluate how close you are on the pendulum to creating Frankenstein with having everything all over the place. And is it time to start reeling it back in so that we move you from Frankenstein to consolidation, consistency, and operational efficiency so that you're able to focus on the business of the business?
So you're moving from Frankenstein to elegance, which I guess is Dracula, really, isn't it? If we're going to maintain the analogy there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. That was excellent. And for our audience, if you would like to follow up with our panelists or or learn more about Linux One, then please reach out at the links below. I'm pointing down there because I'm assuming they're going to be below the video, but we will find out later. Do reach out. DXC will be able to take your query and guide you to the relevant right people. It just behooves me now to say thank you to all of you. Thank you, Florian.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Wilhelm.
It was a great pleasure for me too.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Tom. It's been excellent. Thank you.
And to our audience, thank you and stay secure, my friends.